Have you ever felt a deep, unspoken connection with an animal during a tough time? Well, you're definitely not imagining things. We're going to look closely at the science, the specific survival instincts, and the incredible evolutionary adaptations that let creatures all across the animal kingdom read our emotions. Honestly, sometimes far better than we read them ourselves. So, does your pet actually know when you're sad? Think about it. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling down, your pet suddenly gravitates toward you? Maybe they just quietly rest their head right there on your lap, or sit beside you without you having to say a single word. Let me just validate that experience for you right now. It is not all in your head, and it's certainly no coincidence. What you're experiencing is a highly evolved, deeply ingrained biological response. And scientists, they're really only just starting to fully map out how this works. Okay, let's dive into this. To be clear, animals aren't reading our minds. It's not magic. They're actually picking up on incredibly specific physical, biological changes happening right inside our bodies. I mean, they are constantly analyzing our posture, and they detect subtle shifts in our scent, like that sudden spike of stress hormones, cortisol, when we're anxious or grieving. They even noticed tiny changes in the microtones of our voice that other humans would completely miss. And they track the rhythm of our breathing. They're reading us in ways that we don't even consciously think about. So today, we're going to break down exactly which animals have this superpower and the science behind how they pull it off. Moving into section 1, the classic household companions. Let's start with the animals we share our homes with every single day. Naturally, we've got to start with dogs. They've been living alongside us for thousands of years, and their biology brilliantly shows just how adapted to us they've become. Studies actually show that dogs recognize human facial expressions, and this is wild. Functional MRI scans reveal that their brains allocate specific regions just to process human faces, literally the exact same way you and I process another person's face. So they specifically, neurologically, notice when your smile disappears or when your eyes go dull. But it's not just the face, right? They read your whole body posture. If you've got slumped shoulders or you're moving a bit slower than usual, they see it. This is exactly why a dog will just offer unprompted comfort, leaning against you, putting a paw on your leg. They are genuinely wired for this, which is exactly what makes them absolutely perfect for therapy and emotional support. Now, while dogs are intensely focused on your face and overall posture, cats, well, cats take a slightly different approach. Look, cats often get a completely unfair reputation for being cold or aloof, but we need to bust that stereotype right now. They are the absolute masters of your daily routine. Cats are deeply attuned to the cadence of your life and the specific volume of your vocalizations. They know your patterns perfectly. If your normally lively voice drops to a lower, quieter register, or say you spend way more time lying on the couch instead of moving around the house, they immediately pick up on that disruption. Their comforting behavior is just a bit more subtle. They might not jump up and frantically lick your face, but they'll sit firmly on your chest to give you that deep pressure therapy, or they'll just park themselves quietly in the corner of the room to stand guard and watch over you. All right, let's shift gears to section 2, the prey animal advantage. This is where evolutionary survival instincts translate into some deep emotional sensitivity. To really understand this next category, we have to look at what a prey animal actually is. We're talking about animals that have survived for millennia by being hyper-aware of their environment and the energy around them. The absolutely crucial point here is that reading body language is literally a life-or-death survival skill for these guys. Because we're constantly scanning for microscopic shifts in energy and unpredictable movements just to avoid getting eaten, they're incredibly sensitive to the emotional energy we project. You literally cannot fake calmness around them. If your heart rate is elevated or your muscles are even slightly tense, they know. A perfect example of this, the horse. Honestly, horses are so incredibly underrated when it comes to emotional sensitivity. Because of that ingrained prey instinct, when a person is emotionally distressed, a horse immediately detects this shifted energy, the changed breathing, any tense or unpredictable movements. They respond to how you are truly feeling on the inside, not just the brave face you're putting on for the outside world. In equine therapy, a horse will often literally mirror the patient's internal state. If a person's agitated, the horse acts unsettled. But if that person begins to let go of their anxiety, take a deep breath, the horse will physically relax right along with them, lower its head, and often step closer to offer this really gentle support. This hyper-awareness is exactly what makes equine therapy so incredibly effective for folks dealing with trauma and depression. And hey, this prey advantage totally applies to smaller animals too. Rabbits, for instance, are often overlooked because they seem so passive. But actually, once a rabbit has bonded with you, meaning it recognizes you as a safe, consistent part of its environment,
It uses that exact same prey instinct to sense when your behavior changes. If you're suddenly quieter, staying in one place, or just totally disengaging from your normal routines, a bonded rabbit notices that shift in your baseline immediately. Since you're part of their safe zone, they show comfort through incredibly subtle, touching little gestures. They might just gently nudge your hand with their nose, sit exceptionally close to you, or quietly hang out right by your feet, just offering a silent, steady presence.
Moving on to Section 3, highly social surprises. Let's look at animals driven by complex flock and herd dynamics.
Okay, parrots absolutely belong in this conversation. These birds are highly, highly intelligent, and in the wild, communication within their large, loud flocks is literally everything. Well, when they live with a human, that human becomes their flock. Because they are so deeply attuned in to the nuances of communication, they're incredibly sensitive to changes in your voice tone. If your normally upbeat voice goes flat or quiet, they notice immediately. Some parrots will actually mirror your mood by getting quiet and sort of ruffling their feathers, while others will raise their pitch and actively try to get your attention to cheer you up. They aren't just going through the motions here. They are directly responding to your emotional state.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these social dynamics scale up to some of the largest land mammals on Earth. When we talk about elephants, we are talking about what scientists document as genuine empathy and comforting behavior, plain and simple. Elephants are one of the few animals that demonstrate this profound emotional intelligence. They even show the capacity to genuinely mourn their dead. Their emotional awareness is truly astounding, and it's all built on decades of really complex social bonds within their herds. And what's just awe-inspiring is that this empathy isn't limited just to their own species. Within their herds, distressed elephants are comforted by others who gather around, touch them with their trunks, and make these soft vocalizations. But get this. We have observed documented cases of elephants extending these exact same herd comforting behaviors directly to grieving or distressed humans. It's incredible. An elephant sensing human sorrow will often approach the distressed person really slowly, stay close by, and remain incredibly gentle. They might emit this specific low-frequency rumble designed to soothe, or carefully reach out with their trunk to gently touch the person's shoulder or hands. It's just a breathtaking display of cross-species connection, all driven by their advanced social structures.
So as we wrap up this explainer, we can see that animals are constantly watching us, reading our physical cues, and showing up for us when we need it most. From a dog processing our microexpressions, to a horse mirroring our internal anxiety, to a massive elephant offering a gentle rumble of support, they possess an emotional awareness that really demands our respect. They are far more emotionally aware than we tend to give them credit for. I'd love to hear your experiences, so definitely share your own surprising stories with us. It really forces us to ask, if these creatures can cross the boundary of species to offer us pure, unprompted empathy, what does that say about the true nature of consciousness? Next time your pet quietly rests their head on your knee when you're feeling down, ask yourself, who is really taking care of who?